Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Sip and Smoke podcast with myself and Billy. We are in a different location yet again. We are actually at the Chester LCDH Lounge. It's stunning in there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen it, but it's so full of character. It's comfortable. It's different to anything I've ever seen. Really nice.
Yeah. We have a very special guest, of course, Pete Waterman. Thank you so much for joining us. It's
Pleasure.
an absolute pleasure. Now, just to reel off a few of your accomplishments quickly, because you have quite the extensive career history, don't you?
Yeah.
So just to name a few, I mean, you're the co-founder of Stock Aitken Waterman, one of the most successful songwriting and production teams in pop history, responsible for a distinctive sound that dominated the charts in the 1980s and early 90s. You have over 100 UK top 40 hits and over 20 UK number one singles with artists like Kylie Minogue, Rick Astley, Bananarama, Steps, Donna Summer, Cliff Richard, and Jason Donovan. Worldwide record sales exceeding 500 million across singles, albums, and compilations. Now, that's just to name a few. I mean, that's incredible. How does it feel when I bring these things up? I mean, how does that make you feel?
Surreal, because you do it, you have a hit, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's only mine when I'm making it. The minute it gets put out to the public own it. I don't own it anymore because I've now got to make the follow-up. So, you know, I remember my aim was when we started the record label was to have a record in the top 40 every single week. That was the aim. Number ones, they would, that would be fantastic, but that wasn't our aim. It was keep a record in that top 40. So at least you're in the game every week. And it looked back now, people, it would look easy, but it wasn't. It was incredible hard work to keep a record in the top 10 or in the top 40 every week was hard work.
Mm-hmm.
You had to plan it, because as one record went down, one went up, and the artist then went on tour. You couldn't get the artist to make it when you wanted to do. Yeah, so you celebrated big hits like number ones with a glass of champagne.
Right.
That's it. I mean, it was literally, we had a little party in the reception for probably 20 minutes, and we got on with it.
See, that's crazy, isn't it?
So it was more like a job. It was just like
it was a job.
We've done it, now we've got to do it again.
Yeah, because you're only as good as your next record.
Mm.
We didn't have the pleasure of producing the Beatles, Paul McCartney, or Elton John. People didn't follow the artists; they followed the records. So therefore, you're only as good as your next record, because they're not going out to buy the new Beatles record or the new Rolling Stones record. They're going out to buy a particular item.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, that item's got to be really good every time.
Did you ever have a moment where you felt like it was unreachable? Or did you always have the belief that it was, this is our goal, we're going to hit it, regardless of what comes our way, this is exactly what we're going to do? Or did it feel like, yes, that's the goal? Did it ever feel like, we might not get there?
No, I've always been a person, my glass is always half full.
Optimistic. Yeah.
I'm always. It's like, if somebody says you can't, I will. Because that's the best thing to say to me. Yeah. You can't. Oh, yeah, right, I'll show you. Because to me, that's the greatest challenge. When somebody says you can't do something, there's no reason you can't do anything if you put your mind to it. I remember I couldn't read or write till I was 30. So I started my company and I couldn't even write checks. I had to go to the bank and get the bank manager to write my check out because I couldn't write the amount. So to buy my first Ferrari, I had to take my bank manager with me because I couldn't write a check.
Bloody hell. I was going to say that. Go on, sorry.
I was just going to ask if there was a lot of doubt from other people when you first started then. Because if you can read or write, then...
I had a great bank manager.
Yeah.
The bank manager, his name was Eamon, still a great friend to this day. He knew that I had a passion and I didn't take no for an answer. So it was, he knew that I was passionate about music and he knew that I would come up with something. So I remember I'd made a record for myself, for my own company. Well, we'd made the record.
Right.
I found the artist, we made the record. And I gave it to a friend to put out because I didn't want to be in the record. I didn't want a record company. I just wanted to be a producer, writer.
Okay.
And this record was called Say Me Number One by Princess. And I didn't realise, but of course the problem is when you have a hit record is you have to pay for the records before you get paid.
Okay.
So if you have a record that sells, it can actually bankrupt you because you've got to pay for the pressings at least 6 weeks before you receive the money from the retailers. So I've got this record is a hit, right? It's going, and suddenly I've got to pay the bill for the first 30,000. And records in those days to press and make the sleeves was 23p, right? And I'm thinking, bit of a problem here. I've never thought of this part of the business.
Yeah.
And I remember going and seeing Eamon and said, got a problem. And he said, well, I told him, and he said, play me the record. Now, how many banks I've got a record player in? Right?
None.
He did.
Right.
I played him the record. He said, get on with it. I said, do you want to take my house as security? No. He said, get on with it. Write your checks. He said, we'll total it up when you get to number one.
See, the belief from him.
Because he just knew that I would work that record until it couldn't be worked anymore. So if there was, I would wring every drop of sweat out of my body to get that record to where it was going. Whether because I could see the public loved it. You could just tell the public loved it. So it was like no record company would have picked it up, but when the public got it, when it went onto Radio 1, the public loved it.
Yeah.
And that's when I suddenly realised there's another side of the business which I'd never really considered. And now you had to pay for things.
Yeah.
So here's just 30,000 records, and the guys that make the record ringing me up for 10,000 quid for paying the bill. You used to go, well, hang on a minute, I've got to wait for the money to come in. No.
Yeah.
If you want another 10,000, you've got to pay us now.
It's crazy that it works like that. I would have thought that you kind of pay everything after you make your money.
Well, the biggest problem you've got in the record industry, it's the only way I can describe it, it's like working on a building site.
Right.
Okay? You're either pushing a wheelbarrow full of shit or you're taking your cash to the bank.
Yeah.
But it's that brutal. You're either on it or you ain't.
Right.
It's like, if you're making it, for instance, if you take a Rick Astley, who's number one all over the world, I don't see that money for 6 months and 90 days. And then you get withholding tax. So before that money flows back to the company, it can be a year. Now, Rick Astley has to be paid every 6 months because that's my deal with him. So every 6 months, I've got to pay him on worldwide sales that I don't get paid with for at least another 9 months. So you can imagine your cash flow problems.
Yeah.
Trying to explain to a bank, but there's a couple of million quid out there. They don't get it.
They're reluctant, I suppose.
Well, they don't get it because they can't see it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not
they can't
physical,
see it.
is it?
Yeah, exactly.
No, they can't see it. So you're constantly fighting to keep your company going because by that time you've got 40 employees, they've all got mortgages and all your equipment's got to be paid and electricity and the rates and rents and wages. There's enough money out there to pay it because you can see your daily sales.
Yeah. You just got to wait for it to be
You've
physical.
got to wait. Yeah. So then you have to make that decision whether you stop and wait for the money to come back, which I never did.
Right.
Which would have been the common sense thing. But the minute you do that, you've lost your ball. You've lost it. You've lost that impetus of go for it.
Yeah.
The minute you say, well, the amount of big artists that I see have massive records and then take a holiday for 6 months and they never get it back.
Yeah, because I suppose like one-hit wonders are a massive thing, aren't
It's
they?
gone. Once you take a holiday, you're out the groove.
Your mind's not in it, is it?
No, you're off the groove.
Would you say you see more one-hit wonders these days as opposed to back then?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because the money now is so big.
Yeah.
If you have something that streams 20 billion, you can live on that the rest of your life. And now you get paid quickly.
Yeah.
Where in those days, well, if you take the world for instance, take Rick Astley for the world, he's with 33 different countries. So you've got 33 different people paying you through. Every country's got their withholding tax. So they withhold until the government here says you paid your tax and they can release. So that can be 3 years.
Yeah, that's mental. Because as you say, you would assume, or I would assume, that it'd be you put it out, you get paid, and it's quick turnover.
No, this isn't. Cool. There's no kit. There's no till.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and you got to remember when we're talking this period, that 80s period, records were £1.
Yeah,
99p.
Yeah,
right.
Which is unheard of nowadays.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
99p, and you had to physically make the product. So I said it cost you 22p to make the product. You got to pay royalties. You got to pay distribution. It was brutal.
So, in terms of that, then I guess profit is high, but if you was to take how much you put in and how much you take out, is profit as big as people would think, or do you think that people lose more? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, for us,
yeah.
We're talking of a charmed life here.
Yeah.
So, like the Beatles and Paul McCartney and the Rolling Stones and Elton John's and Stock Aitken Waterman, we had such big hits. It takes you out that normal. You're not talking normality. You're talking, because you just said 500 million sales. You're in a different league.
Complete different league.
It's different league. It's not. You're charmed that you can wait for that money to come in because it is in such a vast amount. It's so vast. So if you've got one artist,
I suppose then you're always waiting. It's not. It's not.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there any sort of aspect of feeling like to begin with, more so, it's daunting? This might not work, or as you say, or is it always just this will happen?
Oh no, I never had a doubt.
No.
I mean, I learnt not to worry about what other people said.
Right.
That's
a very strong mindset to have.
Well, you've got to, because you're in a marketplace where nobody wants to do you a favour. So radio doesn't want to play your record. Record shops don't want to buy your product. So that's the way you've got to, you've got to look at it. And yet you've probably got £60,000 a month overhead, for the staff. So, that at the end of the month, you've got to pay 60,000 quid's worth of wages and bills.
Right.
So if you ain't got big gonads, don't go in the ballroom because it ain't going. It's not going to get any better. Right. The other thing is, in hindsight, if I'd have sold Kylie Minogue at the highs of Kylie Minogue, I could have sold it to EMI. But then, what's the point in doing it if that's all you're doing it for is the cash? As you say, well, it is just say, you know what, I've made enough cash here now. I'll just close everything down and wait for the money to pile in. But what's the point? I didn't do it for the cash.
Yeah,
I did it because I loved every minute of it, and working with the people and the challenge was just fantastic.
Where does that mindset come from? Because you're optimistic, clearly you're very hardworking, but was there sort of a figurehead that kind of guided you that way, or were you just kind of born that way?
I guess, I from day one, there was no money in the house. So if we wanted anything, I had to work for it, like paper rounds or fetching coal. Because when I was born, it was still rationing. And so I got paid coaling was on rationing, but you could have 100 weight of coal a week. And so I used to go and fetch coal for the neighbours and they paid me sixpence. So, my pocket money, I earned it. So to me, it was always, if I wanted something, I had to do something to get that.
It was almost instilled in you from a young age.
Yeah.
If you want it, you've got to make it. You've got to make it yourself.
And I remember, this is ridiculous. This is bloody 80 years ago now, 70 years ago. I remember I used to dream. I used to have my sister's pram because my sister's 4 years younger than me.
Okay.
And I took the pram up and used the wheels. And I used to put the coal on top and push it. I was, I'm sort of 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
But I used to play wagon trains. This was a wagon train for me. I was going to fetch the.
So you turned it into an enjoyment factor.
Yeah, it was always a fantasy for me. It was like, what did I want to push a bloody 100 weight of coal a mile for sixpence? No, but if I turn it into the wagon train, this was an experience. I had to cross roads and I had to lift this. It's like it was just an experience.
Yeah, I feel like that's so different to nowadays. Like
Yeah.
people nowadays and younger people nowadays, they don't have that drive. They don't have the imagination to make it work for them.
It's
they
so
take it
easy
at
for
face-
people. Yeah.
They take it at face value.
Yeah.
This is a chore. I'm not going to do it. Or,
Oh no. I you know, if I didn't want to do something, I didn't do it. If it was a chore to me, I didn't do it.
Mhm.
That's simple as that. But there was no choice. If I wanted £6 pocket money, you know, then I had to earn it. I couldn't. My parents could not give me a couple of bob a week to spend on sweets.
Mhm.
It wasn't possible.
Yeah.
You know, it was like that was the household I grew up in.
Mhm.
You know, because in those days my mum didn't work. My mum looked after me and my sister. So it was like my granddad had retired and my dad had a good job, but he loved his job. He didn't earn enough money. So, you know, I'm from that era when we'd run out of food by Tuesday.
Yeah.
You know, you were eating bits and pieces till the wages come back in on the Thursday night.
But it's on the polar opposite to yourself. You can see that as a negative and go, "Oh, I'll just wait." And you almost feel sorry for yourself.
Oh,
For yourself, you've
no,
just
no,
gone, "Nope,
No,
we're going to make
never.
it."
Never felt sorry for myself.
Mm-hmm.
No, you can't do that. You know, life. You know, I'm a believer in life. You get dealt a set of cards, and you have to
make it.
you have to make it play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is bragging it. At the end of your life is it's 21.
Yeah.
How close are you to 21? Have I got 20? I can bluff my way through this. I can't stick on 17.
Yeah.
Jesus, I'm going to get caught out here at 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that tells me that you turn that into sort of a fantasy. So it tells me that you've always been very creative. When did the music side come into the picture?
Oh, from a very early age.
Yeah,
Yeah, from a kid.
you played instruments.
No, I was in a choir.
Okay,
I was in a choir, but I spotted very quickly. I could pick people up. I could read people very quickly.
Right.
And I remember at the church, because you know it was very different in those days. Church of England was very different, very strict, and very pious, and very sort of staid.
Right.
And I spotted that the vicar didn't quite understand that most of the people in the congregation didn't quite understand the Bible as much as he did. So he'd give these long lectures that I had no idea what he was talking about. No idea whatsoever. and I noticed then he would put in these really clever hymns with hidden messages in, and the congregation hadn't got a clue.
Right.
And I noticed that if you picked a good tune, the congregation loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so I used to argue with the vicar. That's the wrong hymn. So he used to say to me, "Oh, come on, what are we doing now then?" And so I started to pick the hymns. And I still say that was the thing for me that made me read the public.
Right.
Right. So in those days, you know, when people got married, they got married in church. You had to go to church 3 times before they were allowed to get married in the church.
Yeah.
So I knew that by 1957, 58, probably 95% of the couples coming to be married never went to church.
Right.
So therefore, they have no idea what hymns to sing. Right? So, you know, always at the weddings, they picked, you know, songs like "Abide With Me," "The Lord Is My Shepherd," right? And it's like, they're funeral hymns.
Right.
You know, you're thinking, hang on, you're getting married, you're starting your marriage off. So I remember, you know, saying to the organist or the choir master, "Can I go and talk to the best man about the hymns?" And I said, "Listen, it costs 2 shillings to hire the choir. That's 10 pence.
Right.
You've got 5 young boys and an organist for £1. And the lad's got 6pence to sing at the wedding, right?" So I said, "If you pay me 10 and 6, I'll pick the hymns, I'll pick the choir boys, and I swear to you, the mother-in-law will think the son-in-law is the tops." So we did it, you know, I picked this. At the end, the guy said, "It's £1 for you." Now, £1? I mean, that was a lot of money. My dad probably earned £3.50, you know, £3.10 bob a week for a 47-hour week. And here am I getting a £1 for a wedding that's taking 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And the guy's happy to give it me. And I'm thinking, oh, wow, so in this music business, you know, if people are entertained, they don't mind paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was, to me, where I learned. And of course, I was fanatical on music.
Yeah.
So with that pound, I went and bought records. In those days, records were 3 and 4 pence. That's, what's that, 18 pence.
Right.
And the only thing that I cared about was the budget every year. Because in the budget, they used to put up a thing called purchase tax. Right. So they put up the purchase tax, which puts the price of the records up, or they put it down and drop the price of the records so I could buy more records or less records. Mm-hmm. So that's what, you know, that was my total introduction into, you know, into fiscal studies. Mm-hmm. When's the budget and what's the purchase tax going to be?
Yeah. And it's crazy because, as I say, at a young age, to think about that side of it rather than just listen to the sound and enjoying it or whatever.
Yeah.
To know about it and go, okay, this could be a business or this could be this.
Yeah.
That's a completely different way of thinking, right? Like, people don't have that awareness, just off the shelf almost. Well,
you know, it's again, it goes back to that fantasy thing about wanting to be the wagon train boss. It was hey, I can be my own boss. You know, I don't have to be told what to do, you know. And I'm not suggesting that at that age of 9 or 10 I was thinking about record companies and being a boss. But I thought, well, you know, you can do this.
Something sparked that something could arrive. Yeah, that's interesting. As I say, it's not just, that's not the way of the world. That's not what people think.
You know, and generally by 1960, I had a fantastic record collection. Mm-hmm. Oh, did I have a record collection?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
How many do you reckon?
Oh,
a rough number.
Well, let's just say 400 or 500 records, but all real fantastic music.
Yeah.
Not pop, not what everybody knows me for. I wasn't buying pop music.
Okay.
It wasn't pop music what I was buying then, right? So it was. I was buying all these records. I used to listen to 2 radio stations because there was no pop radio then, because Radio 1 didn't start till the 70s. So there were 2 stations I listened to on my cheap transistor radio when my mum didn't know I was under the bedclothes listening to radio. I listened to American Forces Network.
Okay.
And I listened to Radio Luxembourg. And so I would go to bed at 7:15, 7:45, because Radio Luxembourg started broadcasting at 8 o'clock into Britain. Mm-hmm. So it couldn't broadcast in the day, but on the night it played, you know, British music. And I would write down, you know, didn't need to write down, I remembered the song.
Yeah.
And so I would seek that song out. And what I didn't realise at the time, what I was seeking out was not what everybody else was seeking out.
For, yeah.
I was buying records that were basically American. 99% of what I was buying was black American records. I didn't realise that, but that's what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And of course, the local record shops all got to know what I was going in for. They would order it and they would go, that guy's been in here, get his order. I wonder if, you know, I mean, I was collecting Chuck Berry records when nobody knew who Chuck Berry was.
Right.
I was collecting blues records when people didn't know what the blues were.
So you were almost ahead of the curve.
Oh, I was well ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people would invite me to their parties, right? Okay. And I'd sit up the corner and play records. And they'd pay me 10 shillings, 50 pence,
right,
and buy me a barrel of beer. So I sat in a corner with a barrel of beer playing records. It was like...
It's not bad.
I was going to say, that sounds like a dream.
It was a dream. Except it was M&B. It was bloody awful beer.
Yeah.
But that sort of...
That was the spark.
That was the spark, yeah. Because I was playing records that nobody else had. But you know, you're talking that 61 period when the American thing is just really catching on. So you've got Del Shannon and you had all these records, you know. And I was playing those. And there were no such things as DJs. I've got to understand that. You know, mm-hmm. We were announcers. And there was a place in Coventry called Matrix Ballroom, which was actually a social club. Matrix was a big tool manufacturing company in Coventry. Okay. And they ran dances because they had this big canteen, which was a ballroom, which big factories did have in those days.
Right.
And I met this guy and he said, would you like to play records in tea break. They had a tea break. The band had a tea break.
Right.
That's how long ago this is. Right? He said, "What? Instead of everybody going for a cup of tea at the bar, why don't you just play some music and offer your records, and then if people want to dance, they'll dance."
Mm-hmm.
And I did that, and 3 weeks at the month they were Saturday nights, and they were American bands like the Four Seasons, Gene Pitney, Gene Vincent, that sort of big American acts.
Right.
They would come and they'd do the club, and he'd have 1,800 people in. But a Friday night, every once a month, the ballroom was not available on Saturday night, so he had to do it on a Friday night.
Right.
But we still worked Saturday mornings then, so these dances had to finish at 11:30 because people had to be up for work the next day. So he always had a group that weren't so high up, so it was only sort of 10 shillings to get in or whatever it was, but it was like no big deal. His name was Reg Calvert. He came to me one week and he said, "Listen, I've booked this group." He said, "They're coming," and he said, "You've never heard of them." He said, "And I want you to play their record and announce." And I'd never announced this before.
Right.
I'll give you a microphone, you announce that this group were here 3 or 4 weeks time, whatever it was. And I said, "What are they called?" He said, "They're called the Beatles." He says, "Got this record out called Love Me Do." And I remember I used to buy my records from a record shop in Coventry called Bernard Smith's. And I remember taking this record. The guy gave me this record to play. And I went to Bernard Smith, and Bernard Smith was a really sharp guy. He said, "Oh, the EMI rep has just bought that record in, Pete. I think this could be a hit."
Right.
And I remember that night, so I was turned up with a little box of records as normal, playing the joiners team, mate. And these 4 lads walked in. Well, I've got to tell you, you think that the world is different. This changed the world.
Right.
These 4 lads, because I'm from the Midlands, they're from Liverpool. I didn't understand a word they said.
Yeah.
They
Big
had
accents.
they had fantastic equipment, which I'd never seen before. They got, they were Jack the lads.
Yeah.
Where's the nearest pub? Fletchamstead. Right, come on, let's go down the pub. They came in a blue transit van, not the Thames van, with writing all over it. And I didn't know, but I found out, because Paul McCartney actually told me, it was the first gig they ever did as the Beatles.
Really?
Because the night before, they were John Lennon and the Silver Beatles. They were on their way back from Hamburg to Liverpool, and Reg had booked them for 80 quid because it paid for their petrol to get back to Liverpool and their boat fees.
I remember.
Right? Well, after that was like, I saw that, they just blew me away.
Yeah.
But I remember John Lennon saying to me, "You haven't got Dizzy Miss Lizzie, have you?" I went, "Yeah." And he went, "You have?" I went, "Yeah." He's joking. I went, "No." And I also played a record. I had one of my favourite records was Mr. Moonlight.
Right.
By Dr. Feelgood and the Interns, right? And this is the sort of stuff I was collecting, right? And he just went, I've only ever heard that record in Liverpool. And I was playing like Dizzy Miss Lizzie, You Really Got a Hold on Me. I was playing all stuff like that. And so, it was like, where are you guys next?
Yeah.
Do you want somebody to carry your amp? So, and we talk about how different this was. There were probably no more than 40 people in that night. I worked with them about 12, 14 weeks later. I worked with them at the Co-op Ballroom in Nuneaton. There were 3,000 people. 3,000 people. No social media, no pop radio, no television, and yet the public, kids that have gone, went out and said, "We've seen this band, you've got to see them." That's how revolutionary they were.
Yeah, I remember seeing like interviews and stuff, and the way they kind of reacted to things. They were kind of just take it how you take it almost, and like.
But they were normal kids.
Yeah.
I looked at them; they were a little bit older than me, so I was 16. They were probably 19, and I just went, "But they're ordinary. They just love what they're doing, the same as I love what I do." But I learned to play guitar quick, because you all thought then in '62, you all thought you could be the Beatles. But that was the moment, you just go, "This is what I want to do."
Yeah. It's crazy that you've got stories with the Beatles. Isn't it?
Oh no, it must be such a surreal feeling to look back at that moment and think, like, I met what arguably one of the biggest bands of all time.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough.
Start.
Well, luckier than that, because when I when I decided to join the record industry in '72, I was sent to Savile Row to Apple to learn to become an engineer. So I spent 6 months at Apple with Malcolm Davis, who was the Beatles engineer. He came to work for me because I bought Apple then. When they closed Apple down, I bought all the equipment.
Right.
So, yeah, so, you know, it was from playing the first ever Beatles gig to producing Paul McCartney is like, you know, it's like...
That's a big step.
Well, it's that moment in your life when, you know, when the phone goes, it's Linda McCartney on the phone, Pete.
Yeah.
You know, it's great. Yeah, right, okay. Yeah, of course it is. You know, I was living in Newton Le Willows, and they got builders in the house, and they've always got Linda McCartney on the phone for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really? Yeah, good, yeah. So, and it was that moment when you're talking to the Beatles' wife who's telling you not to listen to Paul McCartney. You stick to your guns.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, sort of, how does that feel? Like putting the phone down at the end of that conversation. I imagine I'd probably just put the phone down and sort of sit there like, did that just happen?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, how does it feel? How do you kind of then take the next step? What do you do?
Well, it was my job.
Yeah.
It was my job. My job was to produce Paul McCartney and give him a hit.
Mm-hmm.
That was my job. And, you know.
So you see it straight as just business.
It's his job.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a record producer's job is to not listen to an artist, but to look at the public, because by the time we did McCartney, he was that big. Mm-hmm. He's not in touch with his audience anymore, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Because people are buying it because it's Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
So you're going in there and you're trying to make the best record possible because that's your job. You've almost got to pay disrespect to Paul McCartney.
Mm-hmm.
You've almost got to say, I'm not interested in you. I'm interested in what the public think of you. So my job is to sit in here and make the decision of how good this is. And he's a perfectionist.
Right.
He's a perfectionist. So he would want to do the vocal 25 times.
Right.
I want to do the vocal once.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I want the performance. Was
there any aspect of like, not confrontation, but like a friction?
Oh, listen, the record was at #1. He came back 3 weeks later and said he could sing it better. That's just the way it was.
Yeah, yeah.
But you've got to be, you know, you've got to have...
You've got to almost manage the character at that point.
Yeah, and I was lucky in that the whole of the McCartneys rang me and said, don't listen to Paul, because we love it. And you're right, because he cracks, he loses it at one point. He gets so emotional, but it's an amazing piece of recording. Mm-hmm. Because he would never do that.
Right.
Because he'd become Paul McCartney again.
Right.
He was the Beatle again. Mm-hmm. You know, the Beatles records aren't perfect. They're raw that they make the Sex Pistols records sound quite clean.
Right.
You know, because they were the Sex Pistols of their day.
Yeah, yeah.
They went in there. George Martin had never made rock and roll records. If you listen to She Loves You, I Want to Hold Your Hand, all those records, they're really raw.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, compare them to Roy Orbison and all the big American records at the time, and they're very badly recorded in technical terms.
Right.
But for pure excitement and vibrance, Beatles records are out there, way, which I understand why the Beatles, later on when they did Sgt. Pepper, didn't want to play in the early stuff.
Right.
Because obviously Sgt. Pepper's like a masterpiece.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like the Beach Boys. But that early stuff was so exciting.
Yeah. That's probably what made them so captivating almost. Because it's so different to everything else.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, it was raw.
Mm-hmm. Against the grain almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what, you know, you got, within the Beatles, you had a real dichotomy. You had Paul, who was sort of working class. His mum was a midwife and his dad was a band leader. You got Lennon, who lived with his auntie Mimi. He was quite middle class.
Right.
You know, that was his sort of. So you got McCartney, who's musically superb, and you got Lennon, who was a renegade. Wanted to be experimental in everything he did. He wanted to do everything in one take, If he could do with one note, he'd do it. If he shouted, he didn't care. That was the whole point.
Mhm.
So you had this wonderful mix of
Different
sweet and sour.
personalities. Yeah.
You had sweet and sour. You had two people, like that.
Yeah.
And you had the manager who kept them together. Without Brian Epstein, they would have gone the way most other artists did, but they didn't. They had respected this guy that took them out of Liverpool.
Mm-hmm. That's insane.
Yeah.
Because you think, looking from the outside, you'd think everything was kind of cut and dry. There was no sort of problems with individuals within certain bands and things like that. But yeah, as you said, it kind of opens your eyes to
Well, there was always
everyone has different ideas.
always a conflict in the Beatles. George Harrison, who was a great friend of mine, he always was a conflict.
Right.
He was the youngest member, excellent, but there was quite a bit of friction between John Lennon and George Harrison, which again made it work.
Yeah.
Which is why George Harrison, towards the end, goes up and does his own thing.
Yeah.
Great records.
Mhm.
But he's not the same renegade that Lennon is. Lennon's a renegade.
Yeah.
George Harrison's dad's a bus driver.
Okay.
You
It's,
know?
it's crazy because you think obviously they always just live these luxury lives and things like that, but coming from pretty much simplicity, almost nothing, to create this massive thing is it's incredible.
It really is, yeah. I was going to ask about the production side of things. How long would it typically take you to make a record perfect?
Well, again, everything that we did, because you only had a certain amount of time, we had 4 hours probably to lay a track. Normally, 4 hours, 5 hours. A day would have been 3 tracks. So Mike, Matt, myself, and a couple of musicians, we would lay 3 tracks in a day. So in a week, you'd probably do 5 tracks because you had to do your vocals, and all the bits and pieces. So a single, I would budget for a single 3 days recording.
Okay. I would have thought that took so much.
Yeah,
longer.
I was going to say that surprises me a little bit.
Well, we didn't have the choice. We didn't. I mean, when we worked with Kylie, you had 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to make the track while she's on her way over. Quite often we were writing the song while she was still in the booth singing the first part of the song. We hadn't finished the bloody song because we had her for like 4 hours. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So, we did, for a lot of the artists, you just didn't have the luxury. Even with Bananarama, they were on tour. So, I was flying on Concorde to New York to record them and flying back the next day because that's what it was.
The way it was, yeah. I think the same as you, so surprised that it's so quick.
Yeah.
The turnout and everything like that.
Yeah, but having said this, it took us 40 years to get that quick.
Yeah.
It's experience.
Mm-hmm.
The experience you do, during this conversation we've learned, you focus quick. You say, what is this? Pete Burns was one of the most talented human beings I've ever worked with, from dead or alive. He was so talented, it killed him.
Mm-hmm.
He just couldn't handle his talent. He used to have a great saying, you can't polish a turd.
Yeah.
And you've got to recognise when it's a turd.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was recognising, that's a turd, move on.
Scrap it.
Yeah.
Scrap it. Don't expect, not that we didn't, but even if we spent time trying to make a song work that didn't work very quickly, it never worked.
Right.
It never, ever worked.
I suppose that took time to figure that out as well.
It takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When we first started, the 3 of us, it took us at least 16 months really to get the groove working.
Yeah.
And you look back, we'd had hits, but not big hits. Well, we'd had some big hits, but not massive hits. But then you sort of realise that it's a job, and you've got to treat it like a job.
Yeah.
All this. People walk in and say, "I've got 40 songs." No, you don't.
Right.
You don't have 40 songs. If you've got one song, you'll be bloody genius.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's people like McCartney and those guys. I remember they used to write those songs on the bus. We used to write the songs in the studio because you've got 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's it. What can I do for the next day? Well, let's write a song. Got any ideas? Yeah, I've got this idea called "Never Gonna Give You Up." All right, let's get on with it because that's your living.
Yeah.
You can't pay the wages at the end of the month.
So with that then, to begin with, because in layman's terms, where's your start point?
Title. Always a title.
Title.
So you start
Everything's a title. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you make a story from that?
Yes.
Okay.
You've got to have an idea in your brain of what the artist is, but most important, if you don't have a title, your title is everything.
I suppose that's your base.
That's your start point.
Yeah. Okay.
Your start point. Now, you know, as yesterday was called Prunes and Custard, I can't remember what kind of it was called, but it wasn't called yesterday. But it was enough to start him on that route.
Right.
Right. So you've got to have a starting point. Because if you're sitting in this room smoking a cigar, waiting for God to tell you what your next hit is, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
The only inspiration that's coming is from you.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So when you say inspiration comes from you, did you ever pick anything up or take from anything else that's been done before, or is it literally just a complete organic, natural idea that came straight from yourself? Or
Always. It has to come from yourself. But you have to have a picture.
right.
You know, when you look at Rick Astley, the biggest act was George Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Now George Michael had gone off and was taking a break. There was a big hole in the marketplace. So was Rick Astley going to replace George Michael? No, of course he wasn't. But there was a hole in the marketplace.
That was his avenue to find his groove.
That was there is no dominant. There'd been Paul Young then. That male single was there. What we sussed out, because Rick was still is a fantastic bloke and a very gentle guy, that we had to pull out his personality, okay? Because he was different. So
almost like soft, reserved, almost, or
and a good guy, a lovely guy. So you can't, So when we're writing a song, you sort of think, what song would suit Rick Astley?
Yeah.
So I've told this story a million times, but I'm telling it again anyway. Rick was on a youth opportunity training program.
Okay.
So the government paid him some money and I paid him some money, but he lived with me in my flat in London. So he made while I was in the bath, he made the tea and the toast. And one morning I got out of the bath and my ex-girlfriend had rung me, and I was on the phone for an hour and a half to her. And he was desperate to get to the studio, right? So we got in the car, and he said, as we got in the car, it's a true story, honestly, it's the truth. He said, "You're never going to give her up." Oh, Jesus Christ. I said, there's the answer. Right? And I remember rushing to the studio with Rick, running into the studio, Matt and Mike weren't there, getting the piano playing and saying, "Right, get this tune down.
Yeah.
I'll get this on tape as quick as possible." Simple. And Mike came in and Matt, they laughed. And they went, "Mate, that's bits." But they went, something about it. And then they did what they're best at. Mm-hmm. They took the simple song and made it work. Okay. Mm-hmm. It didn't work completely, but it was enough. And then we came up with the idea of turning Rick into the opposite from what male singers had always been. Okay. Male singers had always been dominant. Mm. So we thought, let's make Rick vulnerable.
Right.
So if it was Dusty Springfield, right, who was one of my idols, she always sang songs about being hurt.
Okay.
Right? So we said, let's reverse the role. Let's make Rick the weak one, the one that says, you can run around and hurt me, but I'm still here.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's the sort of guy he was, very loyal. And sort of, that was the whole inspiration for it. It was like, he can handle this song because he's believable.
Yeah. So that's his personality almost.
So I always knew if we could get Rick on television, that people wouldn't believe his voice. Mm. People, it's that water cooler moment, Did you hear that guy? I said, Can you believe that? That's bloody Luther Vandross. That's not a kid from Newton the Willow's got red hair.
Yeah.
And that's when everywhere we went in the world, that's exactly the reaction we got.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Almost surprise.
Oh, yeah, because then they went, oh, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being, we took him to there's a very famous DJ, he's dead now, in America called Frankie Crocker, was the biggest DJ in America, biggest black DJ in America.
Okay.
And I had taken Pete, my son, on holiday to Miami, and I went to a station, radio station in upstate Atlanta. And of course, coming from England, you think that a radio station like Manchester's in the middle of Manchester. So this station in Miami was the biggest Miami station. And it was like 70 miles away.
Yeah.
So I got in this car, you know, because of this station, thinking this sound recording, it was 70 miles away. And the DJ in there was called Bill Tanner. And we're sitting there. He doesn't know I'm a DJ. I'm working on Radio City in Liverpool. He doesn't know I'm a DJ. Right. So he's talking. And they did something I'd never seen before. They stood up. There were no seats.
Right.
They stood up to present the show. So I'm watching this, and he plays the Pet Shop Boys. It was on my mind, and I went, I mixed that record. No, you didn't. That's the Pet Shop Boys. I said, no, I mixed it. Look. And he went, oh, really? I said, yeah. And we started talking about it. Then he found out I was a DJ on the radio station. And we started talking about the phone systems that they had in America at the time. So they judged how popular songs were by how quick people phoned in to the station to get them to play the record.
Okay.
Right, so they had rows of lights. So as people made a phone call, these lights lit up. So they could judge how popular the record was. And they had a switch. They could kill the phones and see how quick they would light up again. So I was totally fascinated by this.
Yeah.
I think, oh, that's a great idea, that. And I'd seen that on Radio City, but not to the extent that this was.
Yeah.
So, and I said, oh, that's amazing. He said, I'll show you something like this. I'll show you a real hit. I'll show you what happens when you put a real hit on here. So, on it goes. Phones just went nuts. And he's cancelling it faster than they're coming up. And I'm sitting there going, oh, wait, you're taking a piss. He went, what? I said, you're taking a mickey. He said, no. He said, that's Rick Astley. He went, oh, you know the record? I went, what? It's on my record label. I wrote it. He went, no. I said, that's Rick Astley. Went and got the record out because I played on card.
Yeah.
Got the record. He said, Jesus, it is. He said, this is the #1 record. I said, you're joking? He said, no, this is the #1 record in America. He said, Frankie Cocker in New York and I are on this record. This is the biggest record probably in 10 years in America. He said, it's not going to be a hit. Why? Because there's a picture of a white guy on the label. Get it off. You don't want to see a white face on that record. Because it's the black radio stations that are playing it.
Right.
But I didn't understand all this thing.
Right.
And I remember we got, cutting the story a bit short, we went to Frankie Crocker, put us on in Harlem. And obviously Frankie hadn't been told that Rick was white.
Right.
We turned up this very heavy dude club. I mean, we're talking heavy dude. And we turned up at the door. And the bouncer sort of said, lads, you can't come in here. It's a heavy dudes club. No, this is Rick Astley. And the guy's going, what? Frankie Crocker said, can't put him on here. Kill him.
Yeah.
I said, it's all right, Frankie. Don't worry about it. Just put him on. Rick will sing. No. I said, well, I'll tell you what we do. Don't open the curtains. Let him stand behind the curtains and sing the song. We won't have the curtains.
Did they do that?
Yeah. And then we opened the curtains. Well, the audience went silent.
Really?
You could have heard a cockroach fart. It was that quiet, right? But suddenly somebody went, wow, fantastic. And off they went. We must have done 14 encores.
Wow.
And it went to #1 in the States with no record company help at all. Because the public went, that's fantastic. Which is exactly what I knew. If we could get him in front of people, he'd got the talent for people to go, wow, that's amazing.
And then everything else kind of goes out the window, the stereotypes and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
The greatest moment for me was I was recording Bananarama in New York in the Hit Factory, and Luther Vandross was in the next studio, and he came in and sang me "Never Gonna Give You Up," which I thought was the ultimate accolade.
yeah. That's just, I was gonna say like, these feelings with this all happening. Like again, going back to like how does it feel? Again, just surreal, or don't really know where to put yourself, or is it like I knew it was gonna be, I knew this was gonna work.
Oh, I knew it would work.
Yeah,
I knew. I mean, I can't say this. I was the only one that believed it. I mean, there were lots of doubts in PWL about, the record, and I never had that doubt. I always knew when people saw Rick's talent, and which is why he's still bigger today than he was then.
yeah.
They would get it. They would see how talented this kid was.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking about a small record company with a shy lad, absolutely the opposite from George Michael.
Mm-hmm.
But the public went, "This is fantastic."
Yeah, that's insane, and a complete different, as you say, a complete different story against the grain, different to what had come before.
Yeah, I remember Radio 1, I remember this to this day. He was in Glasgow. He was doing a PA at Radio Clyde in Glasgow. And I got a call from Radio 1 from Simon Bates. He said, "Listen, man," he said, "this ain't this kid." I said, "He is." He said, "All right, give me his phone number. I'll ring him now on air and I'll get him to sing it on air. Will you do it?" I said, "Yeah, of course he will." So Simon Bates rang Rick. He was in his bathroom in Glasgow, right? Singing it live on Radio 1. Well, forget it. It was all over.
Just
it was all over.
absolutely mental.
Well, it tripled the play. Everybody was on the Radio 1. "Did you hear Simon Bates this morning? He phoned up that guy Rick Astley, who was in his bathroom in Glasgow singing a song to him. He's unbelievable."
That wouldn't happen these days, would it?
No.
Nothing like that. But I mean, it kind of leads on to the most obvious question. "Never Gonna Give You Up" obviously became years later a meme. How does that make you, and how does that make Rick feel? I mean, must be quite a weird feeling.
We'd had the, I am lucky.
Right.
I am lucky. I really am.
You have to have an element of that, though, don't you?
I am.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, the Fall Guy, the cartoon.
Yeah.
They've done a sketch on the Fall Guy about Rick Astley.
Okay.
About this gay guy in Britain. Well, if I'd have paid, it couldn't have worked better.
Right.
Because somebody then put this Rick Rolling up.
Yeah.
And that was not us. We had nothing to do with it. We thought it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know the impact of it. But it's still now as one of the, the most unusual things that's ever happened in the record industry.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are now as like the 14th most played record in history.
It's absolutely insane. I mean, it's probably one of the weirdest ways to receive plays from a hit, isn't it?
Well, certainly I wish I thought of it.
It's good to know that you think of it as in a positive way, though.
Yeah.
Because I guess it was kind of used as like a jokey situation. Someone sends you a video and they're like, "Oh, watch this happen," and then they get rickrolled.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's quite.
Well, if they want to take that joke, I'll take that joke every day of the week.
Yeah.
I'll look a laugh with the next person. And Rick and I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
We did. We thought it was funny.
That's great. I mean, that kind of brings us to modern day. I mean, I think we're both quite intrigued to ask you about modern day music because it's very different now. I mean, people are making hits in like 5-10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And obviously with the introduction of AI as well, I mean, that must be a big hit in the gut to people like yourself. You put so many hours, weeks, days, years into perfecting your craft. And now there are people out there getting millions of listens.
It doesn't mean anything, though.
Doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything.
No.
Doesn't mean anything at all.
No.
There's no machine will ever write Never Gonna Give You Up.
No.
Because I've just explained to you, I reversed the roles. We turned Rick into Dusty Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
No AI machine would do that.
No.
Because it's not got that much intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it doesn't know Rick Astley.
Yeah, there's no person behind it. Yeah.
It's just programmed off a million different samples.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Somebody might get lucky and have it, but it's like, The talent is in knowing when it's a hit.
Mm-hmm.
AI ain't going to tell you when it's a hit because it can't.
Yeah.
I suppose not. I suppose AI probably just copies a lot, doesn't it? And then it just
Well, we all copy. Is that,
yeah.
let's be honest, we all copy. You've got to have somewhere to start. There's only, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G.
Yeah.
There's no H, J, K, and L. That's all your notes you can work with.
Mm-hmm.
You can have minors, you can have, sevenths, sixths, fifths, diminished, augmented, but still, music is quite limited.
Yeah.
What you can't do is copy, because if you copy something, people straight away say, well, it's just a copy.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of today, trying to get away from the copying, has taken a lot of the credibility out of music. Now, that's not to say there aren't some great records. There are. The Jonas Brothers, for instance, write amazing songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, the modern country stuff that's coming out of Nashville is superb.
Yeah, country's massive now.
Massive.
Massive,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do.
Because they're real songs.
Yeah.
They're hugely talented guys.
Mm-hmm. So there's still that underlying appreciation for certain things, but there must be other things that you come out and you think, oh, this is a load of crap almost. Even if it sells and it does well in the charts and things like that.
That doesn't worry me. No, I mean, I don't get Taylor Swift.
Okay.
I've never got Taylor Swift.
Right.
And my mate, my original partner, he produced a lot of the Taylor Swift stuff. He's dead now. But, and him and I have had I just don't get it.
Right.
I just don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
But I get, for argument, Sabrina. I get her. I think she's fantastic.
Okay.
I can't particularly watch her, but musically, I think she's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you get everything all the time? No, of course you can't. You can't like everything.
No. No.
So what do you personally like? Modern day music?
Lots of stuff, honestly. I mean, I do like, Korea pop. I love K-pop. I love the energy and the excitement of it.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody last night, and we were talking about some very trendy DJs. And I said, well, I started then. They went, no, you didn't. Oh, yes, I did. They went, no, you didn't. That's drum and bass. I said, sorry, I formed the first drum and bass label, and I formed the first rap label.
Yeah.
I had Craig David. And they went, you did not? I said, Google it. They go, oh my God, you did. I went, because it's music.
Yeah, yeah.
It's music. I love rave music.
So there's a varied approach to your...
It's music.
Yeah, yeah.
If it's exciting, I love trance. I just love it.
Yeah.
It's like, why
That
wouldn't
really
you?
surprises me.
Yeah.
No, I love it.
That's amazing.
No, but if you like music, you like music. If it's good,
Yeah.
whatever it is, whether it's rap, whatever, it doesn't matter. If it's good, it's good. And you appreciate you may not be able to, for instance, I would never make reggae records.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't make reggae records because I'm not good enough. Couldn't make rap records because I don't,
Yeah,
But it doesn't mean I can't listen to rap records and say, oh, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I personally don't enjoy radio music. I think radio music is so...
I think it's different now
down.
to what it was.
I don't know.
though. I think radio music, I think a lot of things is made for social media and TikTok and things like that, which is short bursts of things. As long as you've got a catchy little 10-second segment of a song, people are going, yeah, that's great. The other 3 minutes of the song could be absolute
Well,
rubbish.
that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Yeah, this is the problem. Okay. And I see what you're saying. If you think that writing pop songs, let's call radio music pop songs, is easy. I issued a challenge back when everybody used to hate what we did. I'll give you £15,000 to come in my studio, record one of these records you think is easy. If it's a hit, you'll earn 100,000 quid. If it's not a hit, you owe me 30 grand. I never had anybody take me up. Because it ain't that easy.
I was going to say, I'm not surprised.
It's not that easy. And what we've done over the last 10 years is, and some of it has turned out to be brilliant. We've made pop songs almost like montages, where 15 writers have a little bit and they go, oh, I like a bit of that, bit of that, bit of that, bit of that. One of the guys that used to work for me, Steve Mack, who's now probably one of the world's biggest record producers, he works like that.
Okay.
But he's made some sensational records like that. So if you look back at, pop art, people didn't think that was art at the time. But, you look at that Beatles cover now, it's iconic, that Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah.
It's iconic. At the time, nobody looked at that and said, what a piece of art this is.
Yeah.
It was a Beatles album. Now we look back and go, oh, that piece of plate was genius. What a brilliant idea this is. So, like everything else, everybody takes it then too far. They think it's only a hit because of this.
Right.
Well, that's not true. It's a hit because it was bloody brilliant.
So when you, obviously you say you got varied appreciation for music, different types of music. When you listen to music, what specifically do you listen to that makes it a good song for you?
Give goosebumps.
So you feel it.
Oh,
physically
yeah.
Okay.
For me, it is, yeah.
So like a lot of people have
Oh,
that
I
with
can get tears.
movies and stuff.
Oh, I can cry. I mean, if I hear a great song, it gets me straight away.
Okay.
And I turn up on the radio or whatever. But yeah, that's still for me the most thing.
What was the last song that made you feel that way?
Funny enough, Sabrina.
Really?
Yeah, the last Sabrina single I thought was superb. Just it has a musical twist to it that I would have never ever thought about.
Okay.
But again, that's somebody who's written that with her. I can't remember the writer's name. Who's actually a brilliant musician, and he's gone, well, normally the song would do this, this, and this. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to give it a twist. And I just went, wow, what a great twist that is. That is pure genius to look at a pop single of 3 minutes and not have the disdain for a 3-minute pop song and say, yeah, it may be 3 minutes, but I can do better.
Yeah.
I can make this into something extra special.
I suppose the casual listener and a lot of people won't notice those things.
Well, they shouldn't.
No.
They shouldn't. They should, like the Beatles sleeve, just think it's an album cover. It's only 40 years, 50 years later, we all go, what a piece of art that was. That changed everything. But I'm pretty sure that in the Beatles' history, nobody looks at She Loves You as the iconic record it was. But without She Loves You, there would have been no Beatles. There would have been no Rolling Stones. There would be no modern music. But you look at She Loves You, and if you look at it as a piece of music in the terms of a radio record, let's get this right. She Loves You, yeah. Ooh. I'm sorry. In the simplest terms, it's naive and it's crude.
Right.
But you put it together as a 2-minute, 20-second pop song, it's awesome. John Lennon and Paul McCartney didn't fire bullets to change the world.
No.
They wrote a pop song that went, ooh, and the world went with them.
Yeah, it's crazy. Really is.
Well, you couldn't write it, could you?
No, that's what I mean. You don't. I suppose that in the moment, as well as you say, you never realise just how big something's going to be. And it goes back to the Rick Astley thing. Obviously, it was big in the time, but for that to be as big as it is now, even you can't foresee that.
No, of course you can't. No, of course you can't. You can believe. You've got to believe.
Yeah.
If you don't believe it, you can't make it. But it's, as I say, when it gets to number, it's no longer yours when it's on the radio. It's the public's. It's then down to the public, and that's when you've got to back off because you are no longer in control of it. It's not yours anymore. It's yours until it goes to the radio.
Is that scary? Or is it almost like, it's out there now?
That you've got to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done that today. What am I doing tomorrow morning?
Yeah. Almost detached from it.
It's like
Let it take its course.
It's like when the manager rings you up and says, I've got the artist coming in at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Have you got the songs ready? You never say no. Yeah, of course I have.
Even if you haven't.
Oh, of course you haven't.
Yeah.
Of course you haven't. You've been doing something else the day before.
Yeah.
You didn't tell him you got Rick Astley in the studio. No, we're not busy at the minute. We're waiting for your artist.
Yeah.
You've got to make the manager feel like he's important. He's got to go back to saying that, to his artist, you're all right. Stock Aitken are waiting for you to come in tomorrow morning. Yeah, right.
What sort of, do you have any, let's say someone's trying to produce music these days, what tips would you give them?
Go and listen to the old songs.
Listen to the old songs.
Go back and listen to the great songs and work out why they were great songs. And I mean right back. Go back. Just listen to songs from some of the greatest songwriters. Songs that have lasted
Test of time,
60, 70 years. Work out why. Because you're not there now. So you can't look at what was around at the time, but you just look and say, what made this song so special? And I remember we wanted. You're always looking as a record producer for an artist. You've got to give them an edge. They've got to do something that's going to stand out for 3 minutes on the radio, or get people's imagination. So you can't be blasé about it. You've got to work it out what it is that's going to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I'm from the Midlands, so I used to drive up on a Saturday morning up to Newton Willows, where I lived. And I remember saying to Stocky, I was going out with a French girl at the time, and I used to go over to Paris every weekend. But this one weekend I wasn't.
Right. And
I was totally fascinated with the French language. I don't speak French or any languages, but totally fascinated with, And they had this word there that totally fascinated me. Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah.
And I thought, what a great fucking word that is.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to write a song called Je ne sais quoi. And I remember going to Mike Stark saying, right, I've got this idea. Let's write a song called Je ne sais quoi. Now, we were very lucky in that the girl that ran my publishing company is Swiss. And Mike is very educated. He said, Pete, it doesn't mean anything. There's no such word. It's just a phrase. It doesn't mean anything. I said, but it sounds great. He said, but it doesn't mean anything. I said, it doesn't mean anything. So I said, well, what could we say? And I still can see the moment. Now, we sat in Lucy's office and he went, well, we could say je ne sais pas. I said, And Lucy said, well, you could say je ne sais pas pourquoi. I don't know why.
Right.
I went, I don't know why I love you like I do, but I do, which is a 1930s song.
Yeah.
That's it, got it. And Mike said, you're crazy. I went, no. I said, think about this. Right. We record Kylie singing only the title, Je ne sais pas pourquoi. Every kid that buys a Kylie record probably is averaged age 12 or 13.
Mm-hmm.
They all go to school. They've now got to learn one French phrase, Je ne sais pas pourquoi. Because they've got to go into the record shop and order that record.
Yeah.
And he went, you're crazy. I said, no. I said, I'm telling you, kids will latch onto this instantly. And we obviously recorded the record. And I'll never forget it. I wasn't in Paris this weekend, and the record had been out a week. And I was driving back to Newton Willows, and I thought I'd drop into my mate's shop in Wolverhampton, Ruby Red Records in the Mandy Centre. And I thought I'll stand at the counter for an hour and see how many kids come in and order the record. Right? It's a true story. I promise you it's the truth.
Right.
I was standing there about 5 minutes in. This little girl coming, excuse me, go to ne sais pas pourquoi, please. I fell on the floor.
Yeah.
I ran out of the store. I never forget, I ran out of the store. I was in tears of laughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then the shop manager came out and said, what's going on? I said, it doesn't matter. I said, I've got to go. And I remember ringing my store. I said, you're not going to believe this. I'm in Ruby Records in Wolverhampton. A kid just walked in. Could I have a copy of Je ne sais quoi pourquoi, please? And of course, it's our biggest record ever in France.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They call it Kylie Minogue there.
Right.
I mean, because I just knew that people would pick up
On that one
on that
phrase.
because there'd been a song called by Frank Sinatra, I don't know why I love you like I don't know why I love you like I do, but I do. So it's the same. But because we put it in a different language, we could rewrite the song because it wasn't I don't know I love you like I do. So that was the inspiration. That was like, got it. That song worked because it says exactly, I don't know why I love you, but I do.
Yeah.
And here was the same song in a different language, but with a different, she wasn't Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. But it worked.
Yeah, it worked.
Wow. That's a stick to your gun story, that is, isn't it? I mean, it's insane to know how, like...
It's one of my favourite Kylie tracks as well.
Yeah.
Because it really worked. I still love you, je ne sais pas. It's just, it's paying homage to the original song without
Take
copying
from
it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, there's a great idea. Let's use that idea.
It's crazy how these ideas just stem. And
Insane. What a career, huh?
yeah,
What a career.
I think I want to touch on cigars.
Okay.
I suppose that's what's brought us together today.
Yeah.
How
Well-
did that come about for you?
Well, I'm from a family of smokers. I've never touched a cigarette in my life. Never.
Okay.
Still never smoked or touched one. My granddad smoked cigars, and my mum and dad smoked cigarettes. But my granddad said, if you're ever going to smoke, make sure you smoke Cuban cigars.
Mhm.
You know, and so I think he was to give me my first cigar, and I've enjoyed them all my life. You know.
Mhm. So it's kind of like a staple in your life. Almost.
It's a calming moment.
Yeah.
Sit down and enjoy just however long it takes. I'm quite a quick smoker normally.
Yeah.
So I just enjoy that moment of taste and peace, just to reflect
Yeah.
and look down. You know.
Yeah, we were going to ask, weren't we, if cigars were much of a celebration for you, but we touched on it just before we started filming, and you said it's never been about celebration. It's
No,
never been
it's
that.
not for me. It's about
just
calm. It's
yeah.
just about taste and calm. Not a big drinker.
Mhm.
Never taken drugs really in my life. So it's like a good cigar to me has always been a fantastic treat.
Yeah.
Just that hour and a half, whatever it is, on my own or with people, just enjoying what I do.
I always say it's a meditation,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because when I have a cigar, obviously I'm not sampling one today because I'm a little bit under the weather, but I don't really sit there and think about anything else. I sit there and think about the cigar. I'm with great company. You know, we have great conversation, and that's where I am. I'm in the moment. I don't think about anything else. So it's a
Do
meditation.
you know my secret favourite thing to do with a cigar?
Mhm.
I don't do it now, I'll quickly after it. I used to sit in the bath in the morning and have a Lusitania.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Ooh.
It's a good start to the day. That.
Well,
Although a part gas Lusitania in the mornings is a broad
Heavy,
choice. It's a
heavy.
I
heavy
love
choice.
it.
Yeah.
Loved it, man. I'm telling you, you've got the humidity of the bath. You know,
Yeah.
you're inhaling that. Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
That hour in the morning, I used to get up. We used to start. The boys used to start. We used to start work at 11 in the morning.
Mhm.
I would go in overnight, and then I'd go to bed, say 5 o'clock in the morning for a couple of hours, and I would get up about 8 o'clock and get in the bath for an hour.
Wow.
That was my hour.
Yeah.
That was my hour, and I loved it. You know, it was like
It allows you to detach almost
Yeah.
from everything else. And
calm down. It's
Yeah.
you know, you just calm for an hour.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't thinking of what was going on an hour in time or what we had to do when the boys come in. It was like, this was my hour.
Mhm. And is it still always Cuban, or is it kind of now moved into sort of new worlds and variation and sort of exploring the different regions?
Well, my son got me into New Worlds during lockdown.
Okay.
I never smoked a New World until lockdown. And now I quite like, you know, I enjoy a New World. And I, you know, the price now is a thing, you know.
Yeah.
But I still do it, you know. On the weekend, I might do 2
Yeah.
a day, but I smoke every single day of the week.
Mhm.
Every night before I go to bed, I will have an hour with a cigar watching football.
Mhm.
That's my moment for me.
Yeah.
That's me.
That sounds great. To be
That's
fair.
me. That's
Yeah.
me. That's my hour.
Yeah.
So you know,
That's your time that you take away from
kids,
everything else.
grandchildren have gone to bed. Pete's gone to bed. Tina's gone to bed. I sit on my own, watch the football. Don't care what game's on.
Mhm.
Just that's my hour.
Now you got to ask the question: who's the support?
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
If I suppose whoever's winning.
Okay.
No, I am a United fan because I was involved with United for quite some time.
Okay.
I was on Radio City, so during the disaster, I was the DJ on the air that day.
Yeah.
So I've got a strong affinity to Liverpool.
See, must be heavy.
Yeah, but you know, that's one of the moments in my life that I treasure because, you know, it was a well, I became an honorary Scouser.
Yeah.
So it's like, and the Scousers are people when they take you to their heart. They're an amazing people.
Yeah.
So, I had this amazing show every Saturday on there, which every kid in Liverpool listened to. It became legendary. And, I happened to be on the air that day when they were all going down to Hillsborough.
Mm-hmm.
And I happened to be doing a Hitman and Her from Blackpool that weekend and watched the tragedy live on the television because we had the feed from Granada because we were recording for Granada. So I actually watched it happen. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it was like, and then to be part of the whole tribute and put it all together. And I laid the last wreath on the pitch.
Okay.
Yeah, so I parked my car at Everton.
Right,
in the car park there because we couldn't get near the ground. And I got out of the car, put the wreath on top of the car, and I was walking to the car. I got the car. Somebody shouted, "That's Pete Waterman there." I never touched the ground. I never touched the ground. They carried me on their heads all the way to the ground.
Really?
Yep, through the door.
that's crazy.
It was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. So you say, things you do in your life that you look back and go, Jesus, that's amazing. I never thought in my life that you could be in that moment where a community just said thank you. Mm-hmm. Human being, all I made was a record, yet there must have been 20,000 people there that day and because it was the last day. And it was like cheers and screaming and carrying me. It's like, that's what I've meant to that community for that period. And that's an exceptional feeling. When you're not from that city, yet the city has said, you sorted it out for us. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
That made you emotional?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Still does. Mm-hmm. Because it's that one thing you do in life, you look back and you think, yes, music touches people's lives. Of course it does. Mm-hmm. And all the number ones you've had and all the millions of people that stopped in the street and said, you were the playlist to my youth and my life. Yeah. But that moment when you've taken a whole community in grief and stood up for them, and they've said thank you for standing by us and making this work so that everybody understands what this was. Yeah. That's a huge accolade.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Something in your life you could never think about.
No,
it's not something you thought about. You never see. Does anybody see that much love in their life? Yeah. When you see the love of a city,
and it's right there in front of you.
In front of you,
feeling it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say that must be the emotions running through your body there, and adrenaline, everything must have just been overwhelming. Almost.
Well, you're thinking, you're thinking back to when you're a kid and watch Liverpool on the television, or what buying Beatles records or whatever, and suddenly you're that one person that the community says, you are the man. Mm-hmm. You did this, thank you.
And I feel like their community, I suppose the Scouts community they hold that, it's like almost like keys to the city almost. I
walk down the street and Liverpool people say, "Hi Pete, how are you?"
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Whatever else I've done in life, that's unbelievable. I put a show on in Liverpool, it's packed. Mm-hmm. It's packed. I've got the Steps show on the road at the minute. The best nights are always in Liverpool because everybody knows me.
Yeah.
So when I go there, I can't go in the theatre without everybody standing up and cheering and wanting to talk to you. Get a picture taken with you. That's an amazing accolade.
For sure.
It's a wonderful city, to be fair. It's beautiful there. It really is.
I'm a massive supporter of Liverpool as well, so
I've had some great nights at Liverpool.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's I've been there a few times. It's a great night. It's a great place to be.
Yeah.
I did the Anfield tour and everything for my birthday last year as well. It's just feeling a part of it all. It's great, the history and everything like that.
Yeah. And and I've got lots of the Liverpool players who were mates because obviously their kids were big listeners.
Yeah.
So we ran concerts on the ferry and I said, nobody had done it before. That's the point. Was this wasn't I thought this up as as a reaction. It was just, let's do this. We have to make sure that this event is marked. We can't let this go. This is a community that's in grief. I've got to stand up with them and make sure that nobody is allowed to forget this, because this is a tragedy to a community that must never happen again.
For sure.
I
That's
think that's
incredible.
a wonderful note to finish off on, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And Pete, thanks so much. It's been an absolute honour.
Mhm.
We really
Yeah,
appreciate
No, thank you for the cigar. Lovely.
No problem at all. As I say, it's been a pleasure to sit down and have this conversation with you,
Mhm.
listen to all the stories and everything, get a little bit of an insight. It's been truly memorable.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
on
thank
behalf of everyone who loves music, thank you.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. That's why I can afford a cigar.
Well, if you guys enjoy this episode, please leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until next time, stay safe and happy surfing. Peace.